Right, Blighty Boxing with Frank Warren and Queensberry Promotions here with the Queensberry iBox guru, Alan Smith. How are you, sir?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Right, we've got a little bit to catch up on. Not long ago, probably a week ago now, you took 3 boys to the BT studio who kind of saved the show after a few pull-outs, and they took, you know, slightly longer fights than maybe they were scheduled to. But we'll take them in order. We started already.
Suits you, eh?
Yeah. Let's take them in order. I mean, let's start with Henry Turner. You know I love watching him. He was over 6 rounds. Des Newton, who's a bit of a recycled opponent in this gym, but happy with what you saw?
Yeah, Henry again, he was due to box on the 28th of November, and then he was asked to switch to pack another boxer, so he couldn't box on that night. So he only had 8 days notice, and he said, yeah, no problem at all. Testament again, he's only 20, just 20. And then he had a kid with a winning record of 6-1-4, who I believe got injured a couple of days before, so he couldn't box in, and we'd had a kid that come to win a little bit. And then he got Des Newton, which is a good survivor. And then he got told it was from 4 to 6. So he's got a week early, different. I think he handled it really well. I think he shows he's still got work to do on maturity-wise, but technically he's incredible.
I think temperament-wise, it would take quite a bit to unsettle Henry, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Maturity, very, very well. Just there's other little things, elements that he just learns as he goes along. But obviously, you know, Frank manages him and promotes him, so he's allowing him to develop at the speed he needs to develop. But
a couple of times, or more than a couple of times, he sort of let his hands go, you know, trying to, probably tempted to try and get the job done.
Yeah.
Were you pleased with that? Or?
Yeah, he needs to do a second phase, and I think if it had been a 4-rounder, he would have done that. But because he's his first ever 6 round, 8 days notice, you know, he probably paced himself a little bit. But that's the thing he needs to work out. And Des Newton's a survivor. You know, he's only been stopped twice. One from Paddy Donovan, who's a fantastic amateur, and one from Sam Noakes, who's a devastating puncher. So he had a lot to try and stop that kid. He just had the kid who originally got him, like this is stopped him.
Because of the no crowds, we can hear a bit more. Were you saying in the background about admiring your work?
Well, that was a one throwaway comment. He chucks a shot, he half thinks they're going to go down, he stands up and admires his work. So he's just saying to himself,
there's a lot to admire in his work, though, isn't there?
Oh, listen, he's my type of boxer, and he's a beautiful boxer, he's lovely to watch, he don't get caught a lot. His array of punches are fantastic. I heard Frank and Big John Fury, who's always got great comments to say. He's a good, he's a good pundit, and he reads the fight very well. You can hear him saying the same type of thing he was saying. So all them things he will take on board, and as the fights get slightly harder each time, he's done his 36th round on 8 days' notice. You know, he's only had a couple of fights.
Was he happy with it?
Yeah, I think so. Listen, Henry's not hard on himself. He's comfortable in his own skin. And he knows it. He will choose the right fight at the right time. But a couple of tougher opponents come to win. I think you'll see the best of Henry.
Now then, Mickey Burke Jr., little Michael Burke, has finally got that stoppage he was desperate for. I know he sort of like was trying to say it wasn't bothering him, but I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, you know, Mickey Burke, I did an interview for Seconds Out, and they said to me, you're not worried that he's been out since December? And I said, no, not at all, because, you know, good professionals don't show very much. You know, they're prepared, they've done it in the gym. It wasn't a major fight. When they give us a list of opponents to pick, you know, he was at the top of the choice. He had a winning record. He'd only been stopped by the Albanian kid from Marco, who's very, very strong. And I said, you know, you'll get your stoppage here tonight. You know, inactivity, you know, matchmaking's the art of everything. I was saying to you earlier, but he did very well.
He didn't go headhunting though, did he?
No, he listened. It was a mature performance, and in the year that he hasn't boxed, sort of 10, 11 months due to COVID, you could see the maturity in him. He got caught early in the first minute, and then he didn't wait to get instruction from me. He did what he had to do before he came back to the corner.
Do you think that's kind of a monkey off his back now, though?
Yeah, I think
probably in terms of getting bantered by the boys and all that.
Stopping kids early don't do you any favours. You look at Gary Walker, who boxed me, he had 1 win in 12 fights. Junior Whitmer had one stoppage in 12 fights, same as Junior Whitmer. After that, they stopped enough everyone the same way. Even Johnny Garner only had 1 win in 12 fights. After that, he had a good round. You know, I think if you can learn to do the match, invaluable experience for later on. Stoppages are great for the crowd, great for the promoter, but for experience, they're roundabout.
Is there a little bit more control in Mickey's work now? He's not getting baited by Garton, you know, because Garton knew how to push his buttons, didn't he? And when it's sparring, full ginger and all that, you know.
Well, Mickey's been in since he's 15 with me, so he's been with me a long time. And he's sparred the likes of them as a young youth coming through, and you know, he's had that. But yeah, I think for me, he pleased me one of the best. I was really pleased with Kevin Jarko, but for me, Mickey, he spoke really well on the camera afterwards, and you see his personality, him and Dempsey got a banter going on. And for me, I thought he, you know, for me, I was more pleased with him than I expected the other to do as well as they did. But for him, I was very pleased with him.
He threw in a Ginger Lives Matter, didn't he?
Do you know what? I mean, he's a good-looking boy. You know what I mean? It suits him. He's a nice boy. He was straight back to work. I rang him that night. He said, "I'm just having a takeaway out." And I said, "Don't have a drink." No, I'm not having a drink. We can run him tomorrow. He's got a week off. He'll be back in next week. Andy was real pleased with him and managing him. So yeah, I was pleased with him. I think he stood out for me a little bit.
Now, Kevin Jarko. Again, it was. I think he was fighting, then he wasn't fighting, then he was fighting again. 8 rounder against Robbie Chapman.
10.
Well, it went up to 10, didn't it? It was supposed to be an 8, wasn't it? So yeah.
So again, you know, it's a little bit more difficult for CJ because he lives over there. Come to it 6 weeks before. Ryan Burnett's been doing a bit of work with him in valuable experience having a guy like who's not just a great boxer, but he's a really nice guy. Ryan's been helping him out. And you know what? When he come over. Said there wasn't a fight for him, there wasn't space, it just happened. We sent him home, and as he got home there was a space for him in 14 days time. So he come all the way back over, and it was made into an 8 rounder, and then he was made into a 10 rounder. Again, it shows you that he could make the weight, he had to give a bit of weight away, and he did 10 rounds, and I said to him to pace himself all the way through that fight. He would get the stoppage, but he'd be patient. I've got to say, Robbie Chapman, I see his interview after, what a hell of a guy, what a nice guy. You know, really good, honest pro. And I hope he gets a few more chances. He showed he's tough. He's only been stopped by Brad Paul, who's a big hunter. And he gave Kevin what he needed. Kevin adjusted all the mistakes he made earlier in the previous fight with Jay Smith. And I thought he looked really good. The finish was incredible. Frank was very
He clearly is a good finisher, isn't he?
He is a good finisher.
And it said to you earlier, it appears to me, but he almost picks his moments. He'll go along, do what he needs to do, and then he's probably got a sixth sense about the right time to press the button, and then bang, he does it.
Yeah, I think in his first few fights, you see him try and do it too early, and he showed all his cards on the table in the first round. Good fighters worked it out, but I think he was brilliant. He was under instructions to place himself for me, to pick his shots. I thought he was brilliant, you know, but I expected him. He was a great amateur at the senior, you know, on WC and everything. So you expect that from him. But he showed that he's improved in his last fight. That's all you can ask.
Carry on with small steps in the new year?
Sorry?
Carry on with small steps in the new year?
100%. Listen, do you know what, you match him slightly up. You've got a good opponent line up for him next. Francis is incredible, and Francis, his hands on with him 24/7. He does a lot for him. And you know, we picked the opponent, and we picked a winning opponent, and we got a kid hopefully that's had 11, 1, 10 or 9. So it'll be a next step up. You know, and Francis was really happy with him. So
good news. Good news. Now, you're now looking at December the 5th.
Yeah.
At Westminster. I think it's Church Hall or Church House, Westminster. You're taking Dennis McCann and Sam Noakes over there for. Still both unbeaten, still knocking them all over. What we got on the menu for that night?
I think Dennis's match with Pedro Laos, which is official. Good fight, tough fight, a massive step up for him, over 8 rounds. So you know, he's tough, he's game. You know, he boxed Michael Collins as an amateur. He's boxed Sonny Edwards, who's outstanding. Casey Kademi, he's only been stopped by a real tough Spanish kid, and by Sonny Edwards, but at the weight below. So this will give Dennis the round to next. I expect him to be spectacular, but this will teach him another. You know, this kid's not scared of anyone. Pedro Matos is a tough opponent, but it's definitely the next step up. You know?
There's been a bit said about it's not easy to match Dennis. I mean, are you finding this as well, because you're heavily involved in that side of things? A bit of a tricky process.
is a little bit really, because he's still only 19. He's still.
And the word is out there, isn't it?
Yeah, you know.
Because he's out there sparring and everything. So.
Yeah, also as well, there's only 8 opponents in his weight group. You've got Lee McGregor, Casper Ruud, who got impressive last week, and. You know, you don't want to get there too soon. So there are kids between him being number 8 and number 3. There's a couple of kids in between. Boy, the one the other day, what's his name? Mark Leach. He's moved up. He's boxed brilliantly. He's gone to Spartan and a good Spartan. He's moved up, so there's a space moving forward. He's just got to be patient. There's a couple of kids, you know, there's a real good few kids in front.
He moved up for an opportunity, didn't he? I mean, he could
stay that way. He's a very big boy. He's a talented fighter, very, very talented. Then he's come back and said one of the best in Spartan. You know, he was a good spar, nice kid. So
they struggle to get him fights, don't they?
Yeah, so I think it's a couple of fights for Dennis. In the pandemic, it's a couple of kids done the boxing in less of time, but he's learning how to do his 8 rounds next and not pleasing everyone else. You know, Frank MCK, we spoke to him about. I know I'm a little bit protective, but with someone like Dennis, you've got to let him run ahead of himself.
Now then, your entertainer is out as well, Sam Noakes. He's getting some good TV exposure, and he's showing what he does. He's showing what he's all about.
Yeah, do you know what? He's a serial puncher, isn't he? Adam Booth, we don't give compliments easy, and he runs and said, wow, that's wicked. He said, wow, well, I'll tell you about him. Yeah, good. I like Sam. He's improved every time. Big ticket seller, good looking boy, talks well, can fight. I mean, what more? Problem is, he's getting up the rankings a bit quick. He's had 4 fights. He's not beaten anyone with a winning record, but he stops everyone who doesn't get stopped. So matching him in this time is probably harder than matching Dennis. So that's down to, you know, the matchmaker.
He's destroying your reputation as a sound defensive coach, isn't he, though?
I've had more knockouts than I've had in 20 years, so yeah, but you know, it's good that they get them stoppages, but you know, like I say, you know, he will need to learn to do the distance, but he's got an incredible engine here at Spartan, struggling in the gym, getting 8 rounds past him. He's such a good engine.
I've got to ask you, you would have known all about it because you were in touch with him, but I think most people would be, even if you thought he was going to come back, I think most people were probably surprised to see Bradley Skeet pop up in Sheffield, of all places. You know, I think we always probably suspected, but he would come back, or he'd be tempted back for another go. But a little surprised, but I know you've spoken to him and.
Yeah, it was listen, we're friends, like I say, you know, I've known Brad a long time. Sometimes it's hard, you spend 9.5 years with a kid, you know what I mean? You've been on holiday together, weddings, funerals, you've done all the nice things together, but, you know, he's a young Jim at the moment, he's 33. He needed to train for himself, and in boxing you've got to be selfish, and if he misses his last chance, and the distraction, or something new is going to help him, and all the best. If you run me, I'll give him my blessing, you know, anything you need, you can always call me. But, you know, we are a busy gym. He's made a choice for him. He's clever enough and good enough. It's a young man's sport, in my opinion. But his experience is incredible. You know, he wasn't British Commonwealth, English Southern, everything you could ask for. By luck, he did it the hard way. So, you know, Dominic's an incredible trainer, one of the best in the country. So, I wish him the very, very best.
Everything being said, it's still going to be a really peculiar feeling for you the night when he makes a comeback fight and you're watching it on telly. That's going to be weird, isn't it?
I'll go and do the Guardian. No, I mean, look, you know what, I had Danny up for 21 fights and 21 and 0, whatever it was, or 1 loss, and he went elsewhere and boxed. I didn't watch, I went for a curry. I like Danny, a long time ago, he got beat and stopped the very first fight. I mean, I was the first person to ring him and make sure he was alright. So, you know, boxing it's a selfish sport that you've got to do what's right for you. So, you know, and as long as he don't get hurt, I'd love to see him win something, you know, for him.
And you're at 154 sensible for you?
Say?
Being at 154 sensible move for you?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's down to him, that's down to his new team. It's a great division whether he goes to welterweight or like middleweight. It's a great division on both sides, it's a tough division. But he's got the skills to call to people that he's got left at 33. But, you know, he's had 2 years off. He's not a bad liver, he's not a drinker or nothing like that. You know what I mean? So he'll probably come back as fresh as he was, hopefully, and wish him the best.
Right, finally, the bit you don't like, you've been dreading. I've got to ask you predictions. The big one, next week. Dubois, Joyce, give me a very short little breakdown of your opinion and the prediction of who will win.
Okay, so I'm going to go with Daniel Dubois. I think he's a close good fighter. It's close, but I like Joe Joyce. I've known him from Millsville. Good fighter, tough, good engine. You know what I mean? Olympian. It's a tough fight. It's a close fight. I'll go with Daniel Dubois.
I think Daniel's got that little bit of X factor, sort of, that little bit of something special.
I think it's a tough fight, it's a close fight, but I just fancy Daniel Dubois. You've got to go what you think's right. I know that Joe's team are, you know, this and this and this and this, you know, they've got every right to be. It's a good fight, but you ask me my opinion, it's Daniel Dubois. I think it's a real good fight. And in heavyweight boxing, you're one punch away from winning as well as one punch from losing, and they've both got that punch power. But again, sometimes I think youth is a little bit to do with things. Joe's been around a long time. That would be my decision.
Now then, on the show, but Little Dennis is headlining. His chief support is Anthony Yarde versus Lyndon Arthur. How do you see that one?
Good fight again. You know, Lyndon Arthur's got an incredible jab. He's got great ring stab. He's got Pat Barrington's corner, who's experience and former European champion. So Pat knows his stuff.
You'd love that jab, wouldn't you?
Oh, he's got a great jab. Yeah, he's got a good jab, good right uppercut.
Can Anthony find a way around it?
Yeah, I think so. It's not impossible, but
Because the Kovalev jab was quite decisive in that fight, wasn't
yeah,
it?
but he's a big puncher, a world-class thingy. But I think Anthony Yarde. But I think it's a good stone test for him. Shows what they believe in him coming back.
Is Anthony more of an all-rounder?
I think he'd have learnt a lot more from the Kovalev fight than he would from boxing at Commonwealth, you know, and experiences everything in life. And I just think Anthony, but it's a good fight, it's a great fight to watch. You know, Lyndon Arthur has that good jab, and he has Pat Barrington's corner, and it gives you that little bit of edge. And I know Anthony and Tundi are close. It's a good fight.
I actually made the point to Frank the other day, but you've got 4 fighters involved in these big fights over the course of the next couple of weeks. On the one side, you've got 2 people with next to nothing in terms of senior amateur experience in Daniel Dubois and Anthony Yarde. On the other side, you've got solid Team GB experience, overseas tournaments, Olympic medals in Joyce's case. And in both cases, the one with no amateur experience is the favourite.
Yeah, I think when it comes to heavyweights, it's totally different, you know what I mean? And, you know, you're such a big guy, you've seen these kids come through, and Anthony Yarde, he's got experience as a pro, not as an amateur, and that makes a difference. I think really, you know, he's boxed at world level, he's looked good, he's won a lot coming through. Lyndon Arthur was a good amateur, and I just think that things change a little bit. You've got Scott Quigg who didn't have many amateur fights, and then
It does say to the boys out there, though, you don't have to come through that system, doesn't it? You know, it's still there for you, isn't it?
People are telling over young now, most of them are youth champions and schoolboys and that, you know, Sam Noakes was a senior heavyweight champion. But things have changed, and we said evolution changed boxing, but yeah, I think even fights like that, they're not 5-0 as kids, they're 10, 12 or whatever, they're experienced at championship level. I think that weighs it up for Joe Joyce. He's boxed at a good level as an amateur. He's boxed good kids as a pro. But Daniel Dubois is the champion, he's a good champion, and being a champion raises you as well. He's got Martin from the group up in his corner as well. Self-belief, good gym.
Doing big things, aren't they?
Yeah, very good. Nice man, Martin, as well. And I think you know, their belief in each other, that will be a big bomb from their corner tonight. And I mean, that's the edge on the Daniel Dubois.
Alan Smith, thank you very much.
Thank you. Eddie Lamb wants to chat.
Yeah, I bet he does.